Our passage today is about the woman at the well, which is a story in the Gospel of John that has a lot of little details in it that I kind of want to get out of the way first and kind of explain a little bit out of the way first, because there's some things contextually that knowing will help you understand this story. So first and foremost, the Samaritans were a sort of offshoot of Judaism that were absolutely, for a variety of reasons, hated by the Jews. They worshipped at a different location than the Jews. They worshipped at a different mountain. They did not follow kind of the Jerusalem-based religion. Politically, they kind of had more ties to other cultures and everything that the Jews had. The Jews were more kind of insular. They were less so. And there was just a lot of little things there that a Jewish person would not have seen as being good. This is part of the reason why when Jesus gave the parable of the Good Samaritan, he cast a Samaritan as being the main sort of the example of a good neighbor. It was because he knew his Jewish audience, the individual he was talking to, would be able to kind of get from that, okay, your neighbor is everybody. Because if a Samaritan can act neighborly, then you should be able to act neighborly as well, and you shouldn't be just restricting it to just Jews. So that's kind of the background with the Samaritans. Now, in terms of actually like collecting water from wells, this is a common practice even still today. Often it would be the women who would go out to a well that was nearby, draw the water up out from it, and then walk back. But usually in an area especially like Israel, you're not doing that during the middle of the day. So the fact that this woman is coming to the well at the middle of the day is a little bit odd. She is, of course, in a place where you wouldn't expect her to be in that culture, which tells you that she's probably not living a life that's that's approved by the culture, that's seen as being moral by the culture. So that's just a little bit of the background of kind of this interaction between them. Now, what is kind of the point of this entire passage? Well, Jesus is really talking about himself as the Messiah. And what that means for an average human being. And in this case, he uses the imagery of water. And he talks about a living water that when you drink it, you will never be thirsty again. Now, he's not talking about literal water here. He's talking about what the work on the cross that he is going to do is going to be able to do for people's lives. And that sort of spiritual transformation that will come from it, from partaking of that water in this case. So I find a lot of kind of appreciation of the woman here at the well, because I can sort of relate to having this conversation with somebody that you meet. They call you out on something and then you immediately go into debating theology. Definitely done that once or twice in my life. But the main point to kind of come down to is that central point about the living water, and it's really what draws that woman in. She's probably wondering in terms of her thirst as well, but as this kind of passage goes on, you can see that she starts to kind of understand that Jesus is talking about more about that. And it does end with that sort of proclamation of the Messiah. So what does this all mean for us today? Well, what it means for us is that, through Jesus, we still have access to this living water, to this water that will quench our spiritual thirst for a connection with God. And we should seek that out. We should ask Jesus to give us that water. And if we do, then we will never thirst anymore. Amen. And now I'd like to invite you all to join me for our last worship song today.